Hello, I'm Elgato, and welcome back to the episode of my Minecraft Xbox Update Adventures Let's Play. This is the Let's Play where I've been playing through the various updates that have come out for Minecraft on the Xbox, building stuff, killing stuff, and of course, destroying stuff. And in today's episode, I'm actually going to be working on my cave house. So this cave house, you might recall if you've been watching since episode 1, or you ever went back and watched it because you were just curious, like, where did this whole thing start? Basically, episode 1 of the Let's Play was where I moved into this house right here. I figured the best place to make a house would be a cave because it was a cave or a ravine. I thought that was just such a rare thing at the time that would be perfect to make a house. You can see where I've covered up the ravine and kind of turned it into slowly, a house with more and more rooms. And although a lot of people hate on the cave house because, like, why would you live in a cave if you have all these options? Because, I actually do have other houses in my world. Like you can see, I've got a castle on the cliff there. It's a pretty cool one, but I just prefer the cave house. There's some, more of my stuff is here. It just kind of makes more sense for me. So I've lived in this forever, and I figure, it's time to finally renovate. I've had this for so long, and I've kind of just left it how it is. I've left a bunch of things around here. So today what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be renovating it by putting stuff like windows over here. Previously this was just like, an inside room. Now I've got windows in there, which I'm going to put like little window holes in. I'm going to like make a new elytra entrance because I do a lot of flying these days. And basically we're going to renovate the place and then do some big digging that kind of needs to be done regardless. So yeah, that's what we're doing today, and I hope you do all enjoy it. So yeah, I guess the very first thing we need to talk about is what have I been up to this past week, because I'm recording this like on Monday just before this goes live. So what I've been up to this past week is mostly just I went to Germany for a little bit. I think I mentioned that, or was going to it, I'm not sure. But yeah, I'm back from Germany now, and that was like a good experience, like go somewhere for quite a few days at a time. I recorded a few videos there, and it's really obvious which ones I did because the audio is especially bad. Also, is this even a window if you have a big gap like that going to it? I'm not sure, but we'll just do like one more, I guess, or like we'll have another one all the way over here, and hopefully it's closer to the wall. No, that's even further away. So there we go. Now we can just place the block there, and look at that. Now we've got two windows, more natural light comes in, and if you've ever watched one of those garbage TV shows where they just, like talk about knowing houses, and I'm still not sure if they do, they always talk about natural light being important. So there we go. Now we've got some good stuff. It's all really... why is this so... oh, it's been between the chests, that's why. Everything's a little bit weird here, but it should be good. So we're going to put some more windows in other places, and most importantly, we're going to make a room for the elytra. So, yeah, I went to Germany, which is kind of cool, for quite a few days at a time, just to, like, kind of... I know, sometimes, like, because I was doing a thing there, as you probably would have guessed, and, yeah, I thought that was kind of wonderful. Enjoyed my time quite a bit. It's really weird being in another country, because, like, my non-English language skills are, like, kind of garbage. Like, honestly, without language to communicate, I don't think I do a really good job. Like, a lot of people really love, like clubs and places where it's just music and then like actions, like where you can't hear each other even if you really want to, because that's what a club is all about. Just I love this song probably, that's what you assume everyone else is saying. Basically, also, is this a good entrance for an elytra thing? Because I figured just like mine through here. And I think it probably needs to be a bit wider if I want to make it like a happy elytra entrance. So we'll just make it a little bit wider here. And then we'll have to put something here to stop mob spawning, because it's a little bit dangerous, and we've got a portal right here. So we'll put like just something torchy over here, and then we should be good. So torch there, there, and there. And now it's like a clear elytra launch pad. We'll remove some of the ceiling just to make it a little bit less intimidating, because that seems like a good idea. And there we go. Now we've got an official elytra entrance. So yeah, I enjoyed that a lot, and I also learned that, like, communicating with people is scary, especially when, like, because even though I speak, like, the near universal language of English, it's still a bit like, oh, but what if they don't? Because, you can't really expect people in another country to just know your language, even if most of them do. And, yeah, I know, it's scary, because then the people that do understand it don't understand it quite as well. Like, you don't even realize, like, at certain points that, like, some people... like, they get English, and some people just kind of, like, know enough of English to make it all happen. And in the same way that I don't know enough German to have real conversations with people, which has actually always been the one big thing that stopped me from living in another country. A lot of people ask this non-stop, like, oh, so why don't you live over there? Or, like, you love traveling so much, you could just, like, live in a permanent travel, which is actually, like, I guess, like, kind of a dream. Like, I think everyone who, like, lived somewhere for a few months when they're younger, like, I'm talking about, like, when you're in old age, you're like, yeah, that was a pretty solid time in my life. You learn new things, learn what you might like more. But again, I feel like it works better if you are really good at learning languages, or like learning communicate. I guess good at communication of some level. Also, there was definitely a second pig here, but I feel like I'm going crazy because I genuinely don't see it. So I guess the second pig vanished, or there was only ever one pig and I've gone crazy. Whichever way it is. But yeah, basically... one of the things that I think is kind of wacky is, yeah, if you want to live somewhere, you need to be able to communicate. So like, if I wanted to go to Switzerland, I'd probably need to know Swiss German, or you can't really have friends in that language, or at least that's what I've heard from people, like, yeah, people in Spain don't want to have like English-speaking friends because their Spanish friends speak English a little bit too, or maybe not so much in Spain, but like in most countries that's kind of the case. Like it's like effort for those people to speak English to you. So it's like okay, well you can't really live there and expect to have friends, so you have to like go back regularly, and then it's more just having an extended like holiday or whatever. So yeah, anyway, there you go. There's the reasons. Even though there's like some great tax benefits, I'm sure, living in Switzerland or Singapore, and there's a few other countries I looked into. It's more like I don't think I have the communication ability. I just say words in English that some number of people on the internet like. That is my my talent. It seems. Or at least that's my take on it. Maybe I'm just like super nervous about the whole like yeah. Because when you're talking to someone else, a lot of people. This is how I see the world at least. Like a lot of people when they talk to someone else, what they're really doing is they're just like they're getting something they want out of it. Like I would like to have some... Oh, there's the pig. I found him. They're like, I would like to have some entertainment value, so we'll talk for long enough for me to get that. That's how I feel most people are when it comes to talking to other people. Whereas me, it's more like, I'd like it to be good for both of us. I'd like you to want entertainment and for me to want entertainment. And if we're in that same boat, then let's have a conversation. Like, like personally, I feel like talking to service staff is like, if like having a, a real conversation or whatever. It's fun when it really happens, but most of the time, you can tell it's kind of... Oh. Okay, I do have inventory space. But most of the time it's like, I'm sure, I'm like 99% sure, you would rather be not doing this, but you need to do this because some number of people won't tip you if you don't have a good conversation. It's like, I'm not going to be a part of that system. And again, maybe that's me being super polite, or maybe that's just me being like a, like a weird non-human person. But that's kind of how I do things. And that's why I also really love... Let's Plays and stuff like that, the internet, because if you're watching this video, you have at any time a non-committal option to just be like, I'm gonna back out of this right now. I'm gonna stop this right now. But presumably you're not hitting that for some reason. And I know it's cool that like in real life there's so many situations where you're just kind of forced into something like by yeah, it's funny actually. Like as humans, we do so many things just because we're like, well, I guess we kind of have to, right? Like I guess that's kind of how it goes. And yeah, I don't know. It's just it makes me feel a little bit weird that like there's so many things that you don't want to do that you'll do by accident anyway, just because like I was invited. Like it's funny because it's like a like a meme of like so isn't it your favorite things when you have plans and then they just happen to get cancelled so you can stay at home all day and you're like yeah. And yeah, lots of people are like, yeah, I would really like to be at home, but obviously it would be very rude for me to actually, like turn down plans to do that sort of thing. And I guess it's just like, it's good that people are like that, because a lot of people do need to force themselves to do things, but it's also super weird and concerning to me. So if you're watching this Let's Play, then you have permission to turn it off, but thank you if you don't do that. So, yeah, let me talk about, what I'm doing here, because I realized I got on a real tangent about like how I probably couldn't live in Switzerland or wherever else I want to live, because I love Switzerland, I love Sweden. Like I don't think I'd ever live in Sweden or Norway, because like I think it's really good to be Norwegian and then live somewhere else, or Swedish and live somewhere else. And it's really good to visit Sweden or Norway, but it's not such a good idea to like live there if you're self-employed in the internet. Fun fact, pro tips with Toycat. So I think Romania's a good bet for the record, because all the internet. I think I mentioned like real reasons why and like geography of Toycat, but probably not the best time to mention that now. But yeah, basically I wanna let me talk about like what am I doing here, because I started digging this tunnel recently because I'm really focusing on like my cave base. I've just accepted like this is a thing I have now. That's why I have the little elytra entrance to it, which I can't actually see from here. But oh, and there's a pig again. It's a shame I don't have a bow, or I could totally just like take him down a notch. But yeah, basically, so what I want to do is I want to like connect all of this through to there, to like the Mystery Valley, and also I want to make the super flat area wider. Every now and then, I'm just like, it'd be cool if we made this even bigger than it is right now. So yeah, what I'm going to be mostly doing is like just making it a little bit flatter, because it's really easy here. Like it's mostly flat already. It's just like, let's make it perfectly flat, just to make it look even more like it's a super flat world that I just kind of built on top of. I think different terrains are a really good thing. I think different ideas in general, like when doing the same stuff as everyone else, like there's a lot of channels dedicated to like, here's how you make a generic Minecraft build that looks slightly better than your friends, and that's nice. That's something I think is good that it exists because people want it. But it's also one of my things where it's like, I try to, one of the key things about keeping Minecraft interesting to me is like trying to do something and show off something that hasn't necessarily, that isn't necessarily done before, or at the very least isn't shown before. It's like, a lot of like movies are all the exact same premise, because people who watch movies want to see the same thing they've already seen. That's why movie trailers are basically there just to convince you, like, look, there's Act 1, then there's Act 2, then there's Act 3, then there's Act... Like, they say you want all the basics of, like, oh, don't worry, it's going to be the same as another movie you like. Like, that's... that's why movie trailers spoil the whole movie. Because it's like, look, and then the superhero realizes that maybe he was, he realizes that maybe he was powerful enough all along. And you're like, oh, wow, that's like that other movie. And I really loved Guardians of the Galaxy, or whatever other movie that happened. Literally every superhero movie where they're like, oh, the superhero, he realizes he has powers, and then, he realizes that the powers are a big responsibility. Then he loses a battle, and it looks like he'll never do it. Then he gets into the big battle with the last guy, and he definitely can't do it, but somehow he pulls through, and he saves the day, and it's a happy moment. That's every superhero movie. So and you figure, like, oh, also look, the wolf's trying to kill the skeleton. Always funny to watch that, in my opinion. Except when they run at the perfect same speed. But I guess we can just watch them do that. Let's go to bed for now, though, because that's a real issue. And that's a really concerning skeleton right there. So yeah, well, I'm gonna basically let me talk about what else I've been up to this past week besides thinking about wouldn't it be nice if I lived in another country? Because I went to actually let me explain, because I went to Costco recently, literally Saturday, so 2 days ago, and the interesting thing about Costco is, like, I've never been to one. I just kind of heard about it from the internet, and I knew that I wanted to go. Because I had, I think it was, like, my ex-girlfriend's parents or something. They'd go every now and then, and, like, for my birthday, they got me a huge cake, and they got me, like, some Costco steaks, and they got me some, I think, like, a box of Krispy Kremes. Like, literally just, terrible things for you, because why not, right? But, also, let's keep flattening this and keep on expanding this. Let's keep going. I'm trying to get as much grass as possible, because it can save some time, but it really doesn't matter, in my opinion. But, yeah, basically, so, because the fastest way to do this, like, entire thing, yeah, there we go. So, yeah, basically, I know a lot of Costco products, and I know a lot of the Costco idea, because it's like, oh, what if we had a warehouse, and then we sold you things for cheap? Like, I love the concept, and it's really, really bizarre, because one, like, the Costco, on the inside, it's just a warehouse, because they don't focus on any of the niceties, but it's weird, because it's known both for being, it's known as a place not only where you get really cheap stuff, because, per, like, 100 grams or per whatever, measurement, it's going to be cheap because you can only buy in bulk, but it's also known as the best. Everything they sell there is, like, high quality, and it's really, really interesting, because I don't think any other business has a brand where it's known as being the best and the cheapest, besides, literally, like, I don't know, in America, the Southwest Airlines, they're a low-cost carrier, they're the best airline. People prefer to fly with the low-cost people. Sorry, I think I hear my vacuum cleaner. But yeah, they'll prefer to fly with the, there's a plane flying overhead, because I live, like, somewhat nearish an airport, as you'd expect if I do so much traveling. But yeah, basically, one of the things that I find bizarre is that it manages to be both the things, and only Southwest Airlines is the only other place I can think which is, like, the exact same thing. And maybe, like, Taco Bell, right? Because it's like, Taco Bell's the best cheap Mexican food, but that's being the best cheap. That's not being the best and being cheap. So yeah, I just think it's pretty wacky, to say the least, right? That just you can manage both those things. And yeah, the way they do that is by being the strangest store. And I want to talk about some of the stuff they did, because it made me think, like, whenever I'm exposed to a new environment, it makes me wonder, like, why is this different? Like, when you go to a different country, why do they speak a different language? And you're like, well, I mean, I guess because, like, at some point the ancestors diverged, and it happened for thousands of years, so the languages slowly became slightly different, then they became fully different, and now they're different languages. That's still why there's a lot of words in, for instance, German, that are so similar to English, because, the common ancestor language is, like, only 1,500 years back or something like that. Maybe even more recent than that. But yeah, that's why there's a lot of words that are just exactly the same, and, America is just the same, but with a K, or, like, one of my favorite ones is, like, in German, the word for, like, gloves is Handschuh, and it's like, well, I mean, you can describe gloves as handshoes, sure, that's basically the same thing. But yeah, basically, working out why things are different is something that I spend a fair amount of time doing. And one of the things about Costco that's so bizarre is when you leave, they check your receipt against the items you have in your shopping cart or whatever. And again, that's something, one, like, it's a premium brand where, like, I'm assuming rich people go, like, that's my wild assumption, because like, again, generally speaking, there's like a level of income you need to have before you can buy in bulk. That's just my assumption about the other customers. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm not. But the weird thing is, like, despite being kind of premium, despite being for large products, they check every single person's receipt on the way out. They take like 20 seconds maybe from your day, and they check like every item on your receipt is in your cart. So basically, they have next to 0% theft, I think, or wastage, or whatever it's called in businesses. Whereas I think major companies like a supermarket, you're gonna have like, 5, 4, 3%. Like, there's a lot of like products you buy that just don't ever get sold. They just vanish at some point. And that was the wackiest thing to me. Like, wait, so they checking it on the exit? So this feels like a cheap thing, This feels like a way to save that 1%. And like, is that really so necessary? But then I thought about it, and like, the only reason big supermarkets, so like, your Walmart if you're in America, your Tesco if you're here, your Aldi or whatever over here, the only reason that they wouldn't ever check, that they don't ever check your receipt, is because it just isn't worth the time. Like, to hire the employee to inconvenience the person, and then like go through like 100 items that cost like $100. It takes a lot of time, and it's kind of upsetting. Like, the only reason they don't is because it's not worth their time necessarily. Whereas at Costco, you spend $100 and you bought like 10 things or like 5 things, and it's like, oh yeah, you can check that in way less time. And generally speaking, some people are going to walk out with thousands, or like in some cases tens of thousands if you buy electronics, I guess. So it's really easy to check it, and then you can also check something really interesting. I figured is like there's the reverse of that they're checking for, which is that you're not getting overcharged. So again, I assumed, because they say when you exit, like, oh, we're checking your receipt to make sure you weren't over or undercharged, because we're just so nice like that. And obviously my first reaction is like, oh, you're so nice for checking to make sure that I paid for the stuff I paid for. But it's actually true, because some of the way that stuff is lost is not only just people stealing, i.e. walking out without paying for something and then pretending they have, but there's also the reverse, where like the cashier will like, charge a consumer for something they didn't get, or like there's a few bizarre ways to do that and then pocket the money, or to do this or do that. Like there's ways for and then if a cashier works with someone else, that someone else, they're both in it together, they can like scam the system out of money by having them convinced, by having them pay a little bit less, or having them pay a little bit more, or whatever, and then you can use that to check by checking at the end. It's like a way to catch out on that. So yeah, I know it's interesting seeing different things expose you to different kind of points. And I just want to say I love Costco. It's definitely a great thing. So yeah, another thing that I've been really focused on this past week, because I went to Costco with one of my friends, like long-time friends, haven't seen them in a while. So one of the first things we do is we go to a McDonald's, because like we're hungry at the time, and there was one just over there, and they have the Monopoly promotion. So like, why not, right? So we go to and obviously at McDonald's they've got maybe like 6 drink options in the UK. I get a Coke Zero, he gets a Coke, and he's like, oh yeah, no, that spot to me, it's just really bad for you. It causes cancer probably or something. So then it's like, oh no, you've turned into one of those types of people. And there's a few weird things like that come out on the weekend. Like, oh yeah, not everyone can just eat red meat, or because if everyone just thought like you, Andrew, then we'd be in a bad place. Like, if everyone just thought the same way I would think, if like basically it was saying like, if everyone thought like I thought and just didn't do anything because they figured it was fine, then the planet would go to badness. And that's a fair enough point. Like, I'm glad most people think that, but it's also the most arrogant thing in the world to be like, oh yeah, the reason I don't do bad things is because everyone else is going to be like me and also not do bad things. Like, it's on the one hand, it's like hoping, and it's a good piece of behavior to have, but it's also the most arrogant thing I can think of. Like, what if the whole world, like, if I don't do something, therefore the whole world won't do the thing? I guess it's kind of like the being the change you want to see or whatever. But, just assuming that because, every other human is going to be exactly like you, have this exact same thought, it's like, no. One of the things I think is crazy about people is just how much diversity there is between person to person. Like, between you and between me, there's a lot of difference, I go to Costco and I think about why they're checking my receipt, and I'm assuming you don't do anything so crazy. But yeah, it's really wacky just how different people are, and to then assume like, oh yeah, if everyone's going to have the same assumption and it's all going to be okay, it's like, no, actually, I don't think you can assume that every other human is going to think like you do, especially when we have like such a decent number of people that like kill people or that do like, very bad things. We have a fair number of like bad people out there, and I think it's good that we like can emphasize of every other human regardless of what they've done. But I also think it's like, but I think like, on the other hand, it is a bit silly to assume that everyone is like you. But maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm just like a non. Maybe what it really is like if you feel like close to the average. Because if I'm being honest, he was a very average human being. Like, no, it sounds like such an insult. Like every single person thinks they're not like other people. Like that's just a thing, right? Like, if you've ever spoken to a girl, and you are like, okay, fun fact, if you speak to any girls in your life right now, like on any frequent basis, which I would hope would be the majority of people watching, if or even in any form of conversation, ask them. This is one of my favorite, like, ways to like show people something interesting. It's like, just ask girls, like, do you think you're like all the other girls? And then they'll be like, no. And then, if, in my case, let's say there's a group of like 4 girls. You're like, oh yeah, what about you? Do you think you're like the other girls? No. Do you think? And you ask every single one of them, and not a single girl will ever answer that question with yes. It's like a very common, popular thing to be like, no, I'm not. No, it's just a thing, right? No one thinks they're like the other people, but because everyone thinks they're not like the other people, everyone is special and unique, just like you. And it's like, wait, that doesn't make any sense. And yeah, it's one of those interesting things where like I think it's impossible to know if you're like different to people because everyone wants to be different to other people. So therefore, I don't know what my point is here, but yeah, you can't just assume that everyone else will be like you, because if you do, then people won't be like you. It's shocking. Even again, same people, just different culture. If you go to like India or China, in China it's okay to video people anytime. And I was thinking about like, why is it weird in our country, in the West, let's just say, that if you're allowed to see a lot of things, but certain things you see, you're not allowed to record. So if I go to Costco and just walk around with a video camera, because I'm like, I'd like to store this somewhere, just in case I'm robbed or what. I don't know why you'd be recording yourself all day. That's going to cause offense with so many people I walk past, and they're going to give me looks like, oh, he's recording. And some places won't let you into their store or whatever because you're recording. Like, oh no, that makes us uncomfortable. Like, you're going to have to stop doing that. Like, there's a right to like privacy from video, but not from privacy from your face. And I've always thought that's weird, like, because as someone who like makes videos, I guess, this is kind of just me like being like, especially this Let's Play, like a lot of my other videos, it's more like, here's a thing I want to tell you. In this Let's Play, it's like, I want to play some Minecraft, let's talk about a real thing. It's so weird that you're allowed to see a lot of things, but you can't record them yourself. And, presumably that's because, if you record it, you're presumably going to share it. But it's like, what if you only wanted to check it back with yourself? And I guess the assumption is then like, well, we don't know what you're going to do with it. But in public, if someone sees you, you don't know what they're going to do with that information. If I see you right now, I'm just going to assume on this wall is your face. Just picture yourself there. I see your face. I can be like, oh yeah, you've got, skin and a nose and some eyes. And I'm going to describe your face to someone else. And then I can mentally transmit that picture. But for some reason, doing it like physically is just a big no-no. But in some countries it isn't. And I don't know. I think that's bizarre. And if you have any big reasons why you think it's such a huge deal, because when you're in public, you're not doing anything that's like you wouldn't want people to know about. You just feel uncomfortable that other people can know about it. And yeah, I don't get it personally, but maybe you do. And if you do, the comments are a great place to do that. I wanted someone said yesterday, like last week, like, oh, it's like, you should be a carpenter because you nailed it. And I was like, yeah, I don't even know what you're talking about, but I appreciate that. Because yeah, like I said, I read all the comments from the Let's Play. I think the Let's Play people, some of the coolest on the channel, because, let's be honest, a lot of the channel just draws in random people watching on their homepage. But the Let's Play, it doesn't do that, so it's obviously not a smart idea to do as much of it, but it's something I appreciate and have a lot of fun with. So, anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this episode, my Minecraft Xbox Updated Adventures Let's Play. You can like it if you did like it, you can share it if you really liked it, and you can subscribe when you're around here, because let me show you what we've got done today. It's pretty darn impressive. We've mostly finished now the gap over there, like narrowed down almost an entire mountain, so it'll look like this when we fly through it. So you can see, huge gap there. We've made this whole thing much wider, and then most importantly of all, we've got a little elytra hole that we can fly right into. So yeah, join me next time when I'll be doing something either related or entirely unrelated. It could be anything in the world, and you'll see what it is next week. Goodbye.